Let me shatter your illusions with the force of historical truth. Everything you've been taught about how the world works is a carefully constructed lie designed to keep you docile, dependent, and powerless. For 5 centuries, Niccolo Machiavelli's unflinching observations about power have been suppressed, distorted, and demonized by those who benefit from your ignorance. Why? Because when the masses understand how power truly functions, they cannot be controlled. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is the operating manual of every ruler, conqueror, and empire builder throughout human civilization. What follows are 7 Machiavellian doctrines, each a masterclass in the ruthless pursuit and maintenance of power. These are not the sanitized academic interpretations you'll find in universities. These are the raw, unfiltered truths that separate kings from peasants, victors from victims. You stand at the threshold of awakening. Will you step through? Lesson 1. The myth of morality and the reality of power. The greatest trick the powerful ever played was convincing the world that morality and power are opposites. This Machiavellian deception serves one purpose: to keep potential challengers from ever pursuing power by making them believe it corrupts the soul. Let me reveal the truth. Morality is not what you think it is. True morality is not about following arbitrary rules designed to keep you weak. True morality is about results, about creating order from chaos, stability from anarchy, prosperity from poverty. Every great civilization was built not by saints, but by pragmatic rulers who understood that sometimes the most moral act requires getting your hands dirty. Consider the Machiavellian paradox. The ruler who refuses to execute a dangerous rebel because it's wrong condemns thousands to death in the civil war that follows. Who is truly moral here? The weak-minded idealist who clings to abstract principles while blood runs in the streets? Or the clear-eyed leader who makes the hard choice to preserve peace? This is the first and most important lesson. You must break free from childish notions of good and evil and start thinking in terms of consequences and outcomes. The Machiavellian ruler understands that what we call morality is simply the set of rules the powerful establish to maintain their position. These rules change based on who holds power. The same act that's condemned as treason when done by commoners is celebrated as revolution when successful. The difference isn't morality, it's power. Your awakening begins when you realize that all moral systems are ultimately justifications for power structures. History's most successful rulers mastered this truth. They knew when to appear virtuous and when to act ruthlessly. They understood that sometimes you must commit small evils to prevent greater ones. The weak see this as hypocrisy. The powerful understand it as necessity. Your first step toward true power is developing the wisdom to know when conventional morality serves you and when it enslaves you. The Machiavellian path demands that you become a student of human nature. Observe how people actually behave, not how they claim they behave. Notice how quickly moral principles are abandoned when survival is at stake. See how the masses cheer the same ruthless tactics when used by their side that they condemn in enemies. This hypocrisy isn't a flaw in human nature. It is human nature. Your transformation begins when you stop judging actions by their surface morality and start evaluating them by their results. Does this action create stability? Does it strengthen my position? Does it weaken my enemies? These are the questions that matter. The rest is propaganda designed to keep you from asking these very questions. Lesson 2. The currency of loyalty. Why all allegiances are temporary. Let me strip away another comforting illusion. The myth of unconditional loyalty. In the Machiavellian worldview, all loyalty is conditional. all alliances temporary, and all friendships ultimately transactions in disguise. This isn't cynicism, it's mathematical certainty born from centuries of observable human behavior. The sooner you accept that every person has their price, the sooner you can stop being victimized by false expectations. The weak believe in loyalty oaths, heartfelt promises, and emotional bonds. The powerful understand these are simply tools to be used until circumstances change. Study any historical betrayal, and you'll find the same pattern. When the cost of loyalty outweighs its benefits, betrayal becomes inevitable. This isn't because people are inherently evil. It's because survival instinct runs deeper than any artificial construct like honor or duty. Machiavellian strategy begins with this fundamental premise. You must always know what motivates those around you. Money, security, status, revenge, whatever it is, this is the true foundation of their loyalty to you. The moment you can no longer provide what they want, or the moment someone else offers more, their allegiance will shift. This isn't betrayal, it's human nature operating exactly as designed. The powerful don't lament this truth, they use it to their advantage. They create systems where loyalty is the most beneficial option available. They make betrayal more costly than faithfulness. They understand that control comes not from demanding loyalty, but from structuring incentives so that loyalty becomes the obvious choice. Consider the Machiavellian approach to alliances. Never rely on a single source of support. Always have alternatives. Make sure your allies know you have other options. This isn't paranoia. It's the basic strategy of anyone who understands that all relationships are ultimately based on mutual interest. The moment that interest disappears, so does the relationship. Your education in power must include this harsh lesson. Trust is not a virtue, it's a vulnerability. This doesn't mean you should trust no one, that would make you powerless, but that you should always calculate the cost of trust and never be surprised when human nature reveals its true face. The powerful don't weep over betrayal. They anticipate it and structure their affairs accordingly. Lesson 3. The strategic application of force, when and how to be ruthless. Now we come to the most misunderstood Machiavellian principle, the use of force. The weak believe force is always wrong. The foolish believe force is always right. The powerful understand that force is a tool, most effective when used rarely, strategically, and with devastating precision. This is the art of controlled cruelty, the science of measured brutality. The fundamental error most make is in their timing. They either act too early, revealing their hand unnecessarily, or too late when the damage is already done. The Machiavellian master knows the exact moment to strike, when it will have maximum psychological impact with minimum actual violence. A single well-timed act of ruthlessness can prevent 100 future conflicts. Consider the Machiavellian paradox. The ruler who is endlessly forgiving creates an environment where betrayal carries no consequences. In such an environment, betrayal becomes inevitable. But the ruler who establishes clear, terrifying consequences for disloyalty actually creates more peace and stability. This is why the most effective leaders throughout history balanced benevolence with the capacity for terrifying severity. Your education in power must include this lesson. Mercy without justice isn't virtue, it's weakness. The powerful understand that sometimes the most merciful act is a swift, surgical strike that maintains order for everyone else. The key is in the application. Your actions must be decisive, unavoidable, and most importantly, predictable based on the transgressions committed. The Machiavellian approach to punishment follows 3 unbreakable rules. First, never threaten what you're not willing to carry out. Empty threats destroy your credibility. Second, Make your punishments so memorable that you rarely need to use them. The fear of consequences should do most of the work for you. Third, always justify your actions in terms of maintaining order and justice. Never let it appear personal or emotional. This brings us to the most important point about the use of force. Its purpose is never revenge. Revenge is emotional and therefore weak. The purpose of force is always strategic, to send a message, to establish boundaries, to prevent future conflicts. When you must act, do so with cold precision, never in anger. Anger makes you predictable. Calculated ruthlessness makes you formidable. Lesson 4. The illusion of choice. How the truly powerful control options rather than people. The weak believe power comes from giving orders. The foolish believe it comes from brute force. The Machiavellian knows true power lies in controlling the choices available to others, shaping the game so that no matter what move they make, they serve your interests. This is the art of invisible control, the science of making people believe they act freely while you guide their hands. Consider how empires operate. They do not conquer through sheer violence alone, but by making submission the most rational choice. When a king offers protection to neighboring lands, he first ensures that the alternative, resistance, leads to certain destruction. The choice appears free, but the outcomes are carefully engineered. This is the Machiavellian genius. Never force when you can manipulate, never command when you can influence. The modern world is no different. Corporations, governments, and even social structures function on this principle. They present you with options, but the consequences of each are meticulously arranged to funnel you toward their desired result. The powerful do not waste energy fighting battles. They design the battlefield so that victory is the only logical conclusion. Your path to power begins when you stop trying to control people and start controlling their environment. If you want loyalty, make betrayal unthinkable. If you want compliance, make resistance futile. If you want devotion, make your favor the most valuable currency in the room. The weak beg for cooperation. The Machiavellian architect ensures cooperation is the only viable path. Lesson 5. Reputation alchemy, transforming perception into armor and weapon. Your reputation is not who you are, it is what others believe you are capable of. The Machiavellian understands that perception is more powerful than reality because it dictates how others act toward you. A single rumor of your ruthlessness can prevent a dozen betrayals. A well-crafted image of invincibility can make enemies surrender without a fight. History's greatest rulers mastered this art. They knew that reputation is not earned passively, it is constructed deliberately. Julius Caesar did not wait for history to declare him great. He wrote his own narratives, staged his own triumphs, and ensured his legend grew faster than his enemies could undermine it. The lesson is clear. If you do not control your story, others will control it for you. The Machiavellian approach to reputation follows 3 laws. 1. Never let your true strength be fully known. Keep rivals guessing whether you are stronger than you appear. 2. Never let an insult go unanswered. A single unchecked challenge invites more. 3. Never explain, never complain. Justification is the language of the weak. Your reputation should precede you like a storm front. Let men fear what you might do, and they will rarely force you to act. The weak waste time proving themselves. The powerful let myths do the work for them. Lesson 6. Strategic patience. The art of letting enemies destroy themselves. The impatient waste energy fighting every battle. The impulsive exhaust themselves in unnecessary conflicts. The Machiavellian knows that most opponents will defeat themselves if given enough time and enough rope. This is the power of strategic patience, the ability to wait while your enemies make fatal mistakes. Study the fall of every great adversary in history, and you will find the same pattern. They were not destroyed by external forces alone, but by their own arrogance, greed, or recklessness. Hannibal could not be defeated on the battlefield, so Rome waited until Carthage's own politics turned against him. Napoleon could not be outmaneuvered in war, so his enemies let his ambition stretch his empire to the breaking point. The lesson is universal. When you cannot crush an enemy directly, create the conditions for them to crumble on their own. The Machiavellian does not rush. He observes, he calculates, he positions himself so that time works in his favor. While others chase fleeting victories, he prepares for the moment when his rival's overreach creates an opening. Then, and only then, does he strike, with minimal effort and maximum effect. Your greatest weapon is not strength, but timing. Learn to wait, and you will never have to fight fair. Lesson 7. Becoming inevitable, the ultimate stage of power projection. The final Machiavellian truth is this: true power is not taken, it is accepted. When your presence alone shifts the balance of a room, when your name carries weight before you speak, when others align their actions to your unspoken expectations. This is the stage where you are no longer a player in the game, but a force of nature within it. This is not achieved through force alone, but through relentless consistency. Men fear the unpredictable, but they obey the inevitable. When your rise appears unstoppable, resistance seems pointless. When your influence is undeniable, even your enemies will seek your favor. The path to inevitability requires 3 disciplines. 1. Never reveal your full power. Always let others suspect you have more in reserve. 2. Never act out of desperation. Move only from a position of strength. 3. Never explain your dominance. The sun does not justify its light. It simply shines. When you reach this stage, you no longer chase power. Power flows to you. This is the Machiavellian endgame. Not to rule by force, but to make your rule the only logical conclusion. Now you stand at the crossroads every future ruler eventually faces. You can return to the comfortable lies that keep most people docile and dependent, or you can accept the terrible burden of seeing the world as it truly is. This knowledge isn't for everyone. Most will reject it because it demands more than they're willing to give. But for those few who dare to wield these truths with wisdom and discipline, the rewards are beyond what the common man can even imagine. The path to power is open. The only question remaining is, do you have the courage to walk it?